Alrighty guys, hello and welcome to week 4. We're going to be talking about informal assessments throughout this presentation. So what are informal assessments? They are flexible and spontaneous forms of assessment that can easily be incorporated throughout the day. They measure the student's performance and progress. They're content and performance driven. Progress measuring can be individualized by student, and some examples can include observations, checklists, event sampling, interviews, among others. What is an ecological assessment? I found a video that I want to show you guys that explains this, so give me a second to pull that up.
This is Dave. Dave attends Cornerstone Elementary and is in the 2nd grade. Dave's a pretty smart kid, but he has a behavioral disorder which can adversely affect his educational performance. For example, when Dave first started at Cornerstone, he sometimes acted very inappropriately in certain classes. However, now that certain adjustments have been made, Dave appears to be much happier overall and behaves more appropriately. This is partly due to the special education ecological assessment that was performed not too long after Dave started. An ecological assessment is a comprehensive process in which data is collected about how a child functions in different environments or settings. Sometimes, students eligible for special education perform or behave well in some environments but have difficulty in others. For example, at school, a student may be calm during class time but is always upset in the cafeteria. Our friend Dave was normally very well behaved during math and science class, but could act very inappropriately during language and art. Other children even have school phobia, which is an irrational, persistent fear of going to school. These children seem fine at home, but consistently become anxious, depressed, or scared every time they have to go to school. Information for an ecological assessment is often obtained through observation. However, information can also be gathered through student records and interviews with the student and his or her family. Information for Dave's ecological assessment was first collected through observation by a specialist. She observed his behavior in all of his classes and breaks during school, and even observed him at home and at the park. Additional information was then collected through interviews with Dave, his parents, and his teachers.
So that's the gist of what an ecological assessment is. You also have examples online that are already done. There's also a blank one on there as well that you can refer to, okay? All right, moving on. What is a task analysis? A task analysis is the process of breaking a skill down into smaller, more manageable components. It's usually taught to students that have, a hard time learning a brand new skill all at once, okay? So here's an example of a task analysis that is used commonly, brushing your teeth. And as you can see here, it's broken down into 18 steps, okay? As you can clearly see, they're specific and they're right to the point. Each step is just broken down by small increments, okay? Taking the toothbrush out, taking the toothpaste out, removing the cap from the toothpaste, grabbing the toothpaste with your whichever hand, it doesn't matter which hand it says, but whatever. So that's an example of a task analysis, okay? And with a task analysis, there's forward chaining and there's also backwards chaining. So forward chaining refers to teaching a behavioral chain beginning with the very first step. So have the child complete the first step independently and then just prompting all the remaining steps. So with the toothbrush example, I would let the child do the first step independently and then I would prompt them to do the rest of the steps with me, okay? So I would prompt them the whole way. Backwards chaining is pretty much the opposite, okay? You're prompting them throughout the entire chain except for the last one, okay? Forward chaining is mostly used with task analysis. I know that Tie and Shoes usually uses backwards chaining, okay, because it's a harder skill to learn. Here's a video. I'm not going to show it to you, but I'm going to send you guys a slide. That way you can watch this video on your own. It's just an overview of what the Brigance is, what it entails within it, and an actual visual of the brigance if you haven't seen it before. So make sure to watch that on your own time, okay? And this is cut off, of course, so let me log out of this. Okay, so the brigance is used for students ages birth to 7 years, okay? And this assessment, it uses oral and written answers, but also it has informal assessments, like observations and parent interviews, which is awesome, okay? So you would use this with the smaller kiddos, of course, and it, has things like basic math skills, reading skills, speech, pre-speech, fine motor, growth motor skills, and things like that. So if you watch the video, it'll give more of a description of what the brigance is. Moving on to curriculum-based measurements. This approach is to assess students' progress in academic skills. It helps evaluate instruction, and teachers can implement strategies and or change instruction based on the students' needs. When you use curriculum-based measurements and you graph, the progress, it shows the students, and like I just said, it shows the students' progress, and you can easily relate that information to parents, which is amazing. You have a visual for them to see how much they've grown once you've implemented these strategies or change of instruction. Okay, present levels of performance, or PLOP, should include student strengths, parent concerns, academic information, social emotional information, health information, speech language information, fine and growth motor skills, and vocational interests. So student strengths, it's sometimes difficult to find positive things to say about a student who is, just a little bit harder to find positive things about, and they may have behavioral issues or whatever it may be. But you always want to try and find a positive way to write present levels of performance. Okay, you don't ever want to write negatively. So you don't want to write, this child cannot sit down for 20 minutes, or this child bursts into meltdowns, for 20 minutes each day, or it's try and write things in a positive way. And I'll have examples on the next slide so that it's, so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Social and emotional, that's, basically, how are their social skills, how are they self-regulating, things like that. Health information is usually done by your nurse, but, you may have to input some things if there's like a change in medication or anything like that, and the nurse isn't at your IEP meeting. Speech and language is usually done by your SLP, right? But sometimes you're going to have to put, if they're using an AEC device, or if they're using PECs or things like that, you want to put that into the speech and language information. Fine and gross motor skills, can they run? Can they jump? Can they catch a ball? Can they hold a pencil with the correct grasp? Can they, string beads? Things like that. Okay. So here's an example of a plop. Johnny loves math and science. His standardized test scores in math are in the superior range for all subtests. His reading and writing standardized test scores are in the above average range, but his classroom performance varies greatly. Johnny is a quick thinker. He is fast with his work, and he is eager to share his knowledge with his classmates. Johnny is very active and energetic. Johnny also loves completing hands-on projects in the classroom and at home. With his quick work ability and high energy, Johnny has a difficult time sitting in a desk for a long period of time. If he can get up and move around, then he is able to complete his work. If Johnny sits for a long time, then he has difficulty with his focus on a book or a worksheet. Johnny easily completes the work when he can stand by his desk or at a table at the back of the room. So as you can see here, they did put that example that I just said, like they can't sit for long periods of time. But they inputted in there that if he can get up and move around, then yeah, he's able to complete his work. So you want to find positive things to put in there, okay? Now moving on to writing goals. Writing goals needs to be SMART. Okay, so think of that acronym. Specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and time-bound. They also need to be realistic for the student, and you always want to consider their plot. SMART, let's continue. So, specific. They have to be specific in naming the skill or subject area that the targeted result. Okay, so what is the skill that you want them to learn? Measurable. Must be able to measure the goal using standardized tests, teacher-charted data, curriculum-based measurements, or student samples. Those are some commonly used stuff. Attainable. A goal that the student will not be able to, sorry, I'm like so distracted, sorry. Attainable, a goal that the student will be able to meet. So it can't be too easy and it can't be too hard. Okay, so you want to meet right in the middle. Result oriented. Goals need to clearly tell the expected result. Okay, in time bound. Goal needs to state specifically what date the student is expected to attain. Okay. So here are some examples. By January 2021, Harry Potter will be able to solve 2-digit addition problems using manipulatives and/or number line with 90% accuracy as measured by teacher-charted data and student work sample. So as you can see, the skill he's wanting to learn, and that we want him to learn, is solving 2-digit addition problems using manipulatives and/or number line. And we want him to do it with 90% accuracy, so we want to make sure that we're meeting him where he's able to he's able to do his math problems. It's going to be measured by January 2021 and by teacher-charted data, and as well as their student work sample. Okay. Here's another one. By May 2021, Ronald Weasley will explore career opportunities through a variety of media, such as books, library, internet, newspaper, or tours of job sites, with 100% accuracy and 4 out of 5 weekly trials as measured by teacher-charted observation and/or data. So clearly we want him to explore career opportunities by May 2021, and we want him to use media, a variety of media, okay? We want him to do this with 100% accuracy, and we're going to be taking data weekly, and he needs to get 4 out of 5 trials correctly, and it's going to be measured by teacher observation and teacher data, okay? So I hope I didn't go too fast. I know I speak kind of quickly sometimes, so if you have any questions about anything that I went through, please feel free to reach out to me, text me, email me. I'm always available. But we're going to end here. So I want you guys to get in-class credit, and I know I said that I'm flexible with dates and everything, and I totally am. But with in-class credit, it's a little bit harder to keep track of just because it's not like specifically on Canvas. I have to input it myself for the in-class credit. So if you can get this to me by 9/11 before midnight, that would be fantastic. Please. I want you guys to all get your points. So what you need to do before 9/11 is make a task analysis on anything you'd like. It can be, making a peanut butter jelly sandwich. It can be putting on a t-shirt. It can be tying your shoes, anything. Okay? Just make a task analysis and send it to me, as well as completing an ecological assessment. You can use a blank example on Canvas. Okay? You can do it on the student you have now. You can do it on a student that you've had in the past, or a student that you want to make up. Okay? Just make sure you get it done by 9/11. So if you have any questions again, please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you.